What's up, guys? Welcome to the Courtside Investor podcast. I'm host, the Card Boss. You're probably wondering, what am I doing here with my Logoman? It's 7 a.m. in the morning, and I actually was recording a video about the Logoman last night. And about 10 minutes into the video, I realized there was some issues with the mic, and I just kind of gave up. And I didn't feel like just reshooting the entire video in my office. But, I wanted to keep all the information in my head fresh. And the first thing I wanted to do today was to just basically film and just to tell you guys the story. So didn't want to do it back in the studio, early morning coffee again, enjoying the morning, a Saturday morning now. So what better time to just go through the story for this particular Logoman. So as I mentioned, I did in my Instagram post, I talked about this was a conclusion of a 10-month journey that ended with this Logoman. And how it all started was actually, if you look back at my old videos, I did a video about acquiring a 2003 exquisite Michael Jordan number 200 BGS 9.5 in a full trade just before I went to the Hong Kong show last year. Now, prior to that particular Michael Jordan, I wasn't actually, going into cards that's above the $20,000 range. It was kind of way beyond. But if I were to go to any big cards such as that, that Michael Jordan would have been the very first one. And I gave about $70,000+ worth of trade. It was a pure trade with Sean Price. It was one of the biggest trades I ever did. And I was very happy to acquire that particular 03 exquisite. Subsequently, I actually purchased this 2003 LeBron James exquisite up to 100 BGS 9.5 rookie autograph patch. Okay. And I used the Wolf sports cards, and I did cover that in a separate video as well. So I had these two huge pieces in hand. But I later on realized that, I was actually trying to chase up Kobe to make it the trifecta, right? So you had the Jordan, had the LeBron, had a Kobe, but up to 100 exquisite. Yep, the first year exquisite. It's kind of like the cards didn't really stand out to me as much, right? Because, it was a horizontal, the autograph was, placements on the side, it was, you gotta look at it, turn around, things like that. So the IRP wasn't there, no doubt they were iconic cards. And I kind of gave up on the Kobe chase and wanted to go for something greater, something that's even more iconic, something that's more expensive, obviously. And I had my sights set on this 1997 Upper Deck Michael Jordan game jersey, hand number 23 autograph jersey. It was the first autograph card by Michael Jordan in the Chicago Bulls uniform. This is BGS 9.5, 6 out of 23. And this was on a Golden Elite March auction. And I talked about this in my Slipper video as well, whereby I literally threw the entire kitchen sink, which means that I had to move that Michael Jordan dimension, I had to move the LeBron dimension, and I gave up a Luka RPA and a little bit of cash on top. Total value about $150,000 in total. Now, when I first acquired a card, I fully expected I was going to keep the card for a long, long time. But I realized one thing about this particular card, though. Ever since I bought the card, there were a number of them that were sold, including the very same card in PSA 10 subsequently. Now, that actually posed a little bit of a problem because these kind of cards typically will hold value pretty well, but the way the increments go is basically if they don't get sold for a long period of time and then pop up, and then they actually will command a large premium. But none of these are being sold now. Again, while number 23, they're actually not that rare because there are actually 6 different versions of these Michael Jordan autograph cards. So there are 120 odd pieces, 130 odd pieces of this Jordan. No doubt there's a lot of these pieces that's already in people's PC and likely not coming back out. But then again, my full expectation on this card, to earn maybe about 20 to 25% return in the period, maybe like 2 years, was kind of looking a bit bleak right now. Especially one big thing that's hanging over my head was I had this $150,000 card that's sitting and weighing down on my business capital, right? So as you guys know, I'm doing this as full time. So 150K is a lot of capital to be tied down to just one particular card, especially on the longer term such as this, right? So if I was going to buy this card and flip it, maybe within 3 months, for example, and make like 5% or 10%, that's completely fine. But with the idea of trying to hold it to make 25% over a course of 2 years, that's actually quite a long period of time. But I did achieve the target that I wanted to, kind of like a goal that I wanted to set myself, that I was able to acquire something of this kind of massive size, which a lot of people can't say that, I had a chance and I had the ability and had the opportunity as well as, successfully acquired $150,000 card. So then came the issue of trying to move the card, whereby it's no issue, right? I could just put an auction, which is fine. But I didn't want to put up straight back into cash because, I knew that the market wasn't all that strong. I know Jordan's cards are up quite a fair bit, but I know that the card of this kind of size, once you minus all the fees and stuff like that, you're not getting a substantial return or any return at all. All right. So one thing, the smart thing to do was to move the card back down to something significant, of which there could be potential exponential value, which is cards that I always look at for long term with exponential value, which is the idea I have for this particular Jordan in the first place. But of course, I want to take some cash back so I could put back into the business and to to keep the ball rolling on that aspect. So searching for a fair bit, I was taking my time on this because there's just no rush, and this particular LeBron came up I believe was in a Golden 100. This was, I think, in June, Golden 100 auction. Okay. And I knew I had to get this card. So thanks to Nick from Wall Sports Cards to make this happen. Okay. Because, Golden is one of those, it's a bit tricky to do a bit. I'm probably going to cover that in a separate video, but I was able to acquire this. The comps are all out there. Total price for about $69,000, all in, roughly about $70K all in. Okay. Happy on that one, and does represent roughly close to about half to the value of the Jordan, right? So I was happy to take the balance of it in cash. Of course, along the way, I did acquire another card, which is this particular Kobe Laundry Tag in 2013 NT PSA 10. So, and then the balance of it in cash. No secret on that. The comp on this was I bought it for about close to $14,000. So the LeBron and the Kobe, so total value about $85,000. And I subsequently put the Michael Jordan on the Premier auction through Wharf, through Nick, okay, and subsequently sold for $162,000 before fees, and then about $155K after fees. So all in all, right, so I made a little bit of money on a Jordan, right, roughly about like $4,000 on a Jordan. It's a small percentage points, which is fine, right? I didn't really expect to get anything out of it. I got a whole lot of learnings in the last 8 to 10 months of learnings, proved to myself that I can actually play this kind of league, and I came away with this particular LeBron. So if you break it down in a trade in a sense, right? So I gave about $70K plus trade on the Jordan. I gave about 50 plus K trade on the LeBron Exquisite, the Luka, and some cash. So the Luka probably cancels off with the Kobe tag, and the Jordan probably cancels off with this thing. So all in all, I think I probably made a little bit of money off the deal. Okay, more than the cash profit, I would say. So fairly good stuff. And looking at the market today, right, the Logoman for this particular bronze is probably way worth more than the amount that I paid. So pretty happy on that. And it was an amazing ride. And I can kind of say that, I want to hold this LeBron for a bit longer unless I get an offer that really blows myself out of all the water for this one, because it is the first year NT with the Logoman, or first year Logoman with National Treasures, right? It's a rare vertical Logoman. These days, the latest 2024 ones, everything's all horizontal. LeBron Logomans are always desirable, and this is a Miami Heat one, which is the best years of LeBron, which I feel. Okay, that was a huge time for the NBA. LeBron was the de facto bad guy, but definitely he was punishing a lot of people around the league. Some people a lot remember LeBron during this prime years. So happy to get and keep this particular Logoman. So all in all, it was a crazy journey. Right? I'm going to get a bit of people on the comments who are going to tell me, say that, look, I shouldn't have sold the Jordan. The Jordan's one of the biggest grills among Michael Jordan cards. I do get it. Okay, from the, if I had a chance, if I had to take it back, would I have keep the Jordan? Yeah, I mean, if I had more, it wasn't business, I was keeping this for a long time. It was part of PC. Yeah, I think the Jordan, would have been great, and definitely has potential to make more returns than what I expected, 20 to 25%. But from a business point of view, right, capital flexibility is one of the key. I mean, this is not like, I'm flush with cash, was keeping things spinning, making my usual 7 to 12% returns. So having more cash to back into the business is basically generating more profits in a way. So the Jordan, while great, while iconic, while nice to hold, while nice to own, right? It wasn't something that was actually feasible for me to keep for an extended period of time because it was just weighing down on my entire business. So at the end of the day, I feel it worked out well. I got away with a nice iconic piece. I got away with a bunch of cash back into the business and huge flexibility for that. And definitely one of the best decisions I ever made. I wouldn't say that the LeBron's better than the Jordan. I think that both are different and both are great in their own ways, but definitely I feel a lot better today owning this particular LeBron compared to the Jordan. All right, that's it for this one. I'm going back to my coffee, going back to my day. Tons and tons of work ahead. A couple more in about a month and a half from now. Or more like about 5 weeks from now, I'll be in the Macau show. It's going to be one of the best shows that I'm going to attend with on a great discussion. I'm going to do a preview of the stuff that I have on sale on the road to Macau story that's going to come up. All right, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, guys. Do like, subscribe for my channel for more content. Till the next one. Kabos out.